is clearing my backlog really worth it, or am I just wasting my time? This is a very common thought that usually comes to me when I'm clearing some of my unfinished games. I sometimes feel like I'm just doing the same thing I did the first time I played these games, which I am. I already know what's gonna happen, so it takes away that magic that comes from playing games. Ultimately, I'm only doing this so my profile looks better, but in reality, is it really worth my time? I could be spending my time playing games I've never played, or I could be spending my time doing something productive like gardening. 3 of my last 4 platinums have been time-consuming to say the least. Throughout my time playing these games, I kept thinking to myself, is this really worth it? These games really pushed my limits, not because they were hard, but because they were time-consuming. By the end of this video, I will tell you if I think a backlog is or isn't worth it. But before I do that, I need to take you on a journey, so you can see what I saw, feel what I felt, and think what I thought. Now drop my beat! The first game we're talking about today is GTA 5, my platinum number 104. I platinumed this game last year on the PS3, and then like an idiot, I platinumed it again on the PS4, obviously. As most of you know, this is a very enjoyable journey, but it's also a very grindy one. And this was the first of the 3 games that made me think, is this really worth it? Originally, I played the game back in 2014, and as usual, I popped most of the trophies. The only ones I didn't were the miscellaneous trophies, the final mission, the collectibles, and most of the online. All right, so maybe I didn't pop that many trophies. Of course, as usual, GuyFarruski wasn't one to, think ahead. So he didn't upload any saves, which meant I have to start the story from scratch. Luckily, the online is kept on the cloud though, so I was able to carry on from where I left off. I'll be honest, I did enjoy going back and replaying the story. I forgot how funny some of the missions actually were. I also simultaneously played the online mode as well, making sure I was in first person mode for as long as possible. But after a little while, I made a decision to just concentrate on the online for a bit. So the first trophy I popped was the clean sweep trophy for successfully finishing a gang attack without dying. Now, this may come as much of a shock to you as it is when you ask a girl for a number and she says no, but I don't think an online mode is complete without a little bit of boosting. So the legend himself, Vote Boy Steve, came to my aid like the hero he is to participate in everything Los Santos had to offer for the Enjoy Your Stay trophy, won 5 races with a custom vehicle for the Midnight Club trophy, obtained first place in all competitive game types for the Numero Uno trophy, and finally he sent a mugger to rob me so I could pop a cap in his ass for the full refund trophy. And with that, Steve left, probably to help more boosters in need, just like a more beautiful, muscular Mary Poppins. Anyway, after all this, all I needed was a crap ton of RP to reach level 100. All I needed. And also the 30 platinum medal. Even with all the events and activities GTA Online offers, I still got very burnt out very fast. It may have been because I had done this less than a year ago on the PS3, but this is when my mind really started thinking, is this really worth it? But in my despair, another angel found me. An angel by the name of Lewis_Y123. This man pretty much carried me to level 100 by adding me as a member of his company so that I could get all the RP he obtained. And not only that, he also helped me with the 30 platinum award so I could pop the decorated trophy as well. What a goddamn hero. So in between doing missions, activities, and me getting all of Lewis's RP, I popped the new perspective trophy for playing the game in first person for 15 hours, and of course I eventually reached level 100 and popped the above the law trophy. This meant I'd obtained all the online trophies that GTA had to offer, and although at the time it felt like half my journey was complete, I was nowhere near done with this journey. I carried on with the story, and since I was going for gold medals in missions as I was progressing, it meant I sometimes had to repeat missions multiple times. This didn't help at all with the burn, but it wasn't too bad. Once I completed the submarine heist, I popped the submersive trophy, and by the time I reached mission 66, I popped the solid gold, baby, for obtaining 70 gold medals. On a side note, these are much easier than the ones in Red Dead Redemption 2 because you don't have to do the objectives all in one go. You can do an objective, leave the mission, and then do the other objectives later. Anyway, I eventually finished the story and popped the To Live or Die in Los Santos trophy. Now all that was left was the cleanup for the 100%. Again, all that was needed. Doing all the different ridiculous tasks and tedious collectibles to get this is truly when I got burnt out. To the point where I considered creating a brand new PSN account and just forget about this one. But I persisted. Just like Hercules in his 12 labors, I had GTA's 27 stupidly unnecessary chores. I went to the strip club with a friend, played darts with a friend, went to a bar with a friend, went to the cinema with a friend, went to the cinema on my own, did the stunt jumps, knife fights, right before I crashed to my death. Flew under all 65 bridges, which popped the close shave trophy. Robbed a store, used the services of a prostitute, got a private invitation from a stripper, walked and played fetch with Chop, collected all 50 spaceship parts, which unlocked whatever the this abomination is, and the From the Beyond the Stars trophy, collected all 50 letter scraps and completed the side mission that came with it to pop a mystery solved trophy, bought 5 properties, bought a car from an internet site, played golf with a friend, won a game of tennis, completed every weapon class at the shooting range, won a medal in each flight school test, did all the parachute jumps, finished all Strangers and Freaks with Franklin, completed all the sea races and triathlons, completed a fair for the cab company, which popped the All is Fair in Love and War, did all the off-road races, which also meant I'd gotten gold in all applicable hobbies and pastimes, which popped the multi-discipline trophy, and finally I completed all the street races to pop the career criminal trophy for obtaining 100% in single player mode. Wow, what an absolute mammoth of a task. But it's done. Anyway, I then bought the Mackenzie Field hangar with Trevor and did all the missions to pop the TP Industries Arms Race trophy, which brought me to my final trophy. I bought the Sonar Collections dock with Michael and collected all the nuclear waste for the waste management trophy, because just like the government, we care for the environment. I actually saved this last trophy so I could pop it while I was streaming to share this special moment with you guys right before I swiftly uninstalled the game and deleted it from my PlayStation forever to be nothing but a reminder of how close I came to creating a new account. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy going back to GTA, but the collectibles that make you spend half an eternity looking at guides because, you know, their locations doesn't show up on the map and the 100% completion made this platinum so much longer than what it needed to. I'm not exactly sure how many hours GTA 5 took me to platinum, but I know I played it consistently for about a month. I know I'm not going to platinum it on the PS5. The second game we're talking about today is Until Dawn, platinum number of 105. This was a very easy and straightforward journey since I only needed 2 trophies for the platinum. It's the only game that didn't send me into the depths of despair. As a whole, it is a good story to go through, although some of the choices you make don't have as much impact as they suggest. You don't realize it until your second playthrough. It is interesting to see where your choices lead the characters and what fate you doom them to. If you like jump scares, then you're in for a good time. There's a few good ones on there that almost sent me to the afterlife. Back in 2016, when I first played it, I must have got some serious burn from the multiple playthroughs. So burnt out, I didn't even upload my save. Luckily for me, the 2 trophies I needed, I had to pretty much start a new playthrough anyway. Like GTA, I saw this as another special moment that I could share with you guys, so I popped the platinum live. All I did was make sure I actually didn't let Chris in the house, which led to an epic decapitation scene, and also made sure I shot Emily in the eye in case she was thinking of using a Materasu on our asses, for the Ashley Snaps and the Exorcism of Emily trophy. Keep in mind the trophies only pop after the chapter ends, not whilst you're meeting the requirements for the trophies. I thought I'd let you know in case you guys had an anxiety attack like I did. Of course, with those 2 trophies, the platinum popped as well. All in all, this platinum only took me about 3 days. 2 days to prepare the playthrough to make sure I had what I needed in place, and then of course the 3rd day to pop the platinum. The 3rd game today is EA Sports UFC 2, and just from the EA in that title, you know it's going to be a long one. You can see from the past episodes that I was a sucker for sports games back in the day. Not only stupid, but an idiot as well. This is just an okay fighting game. It's nothing special to be quite honest, and the online matchup system is typical EA, more broken than Goku's plot armor, which explains why I got fed up with it in 2016. Even so, I managed to pop the majority of the trophies back then, so this time around I just needed some miscellaneous trophies and some of the online ones. As usual in this series, there was no uploaded save file, but you know, for this game it wasn't really essential, so I'm just gonna let my pass up off. My first thought was to get familiar with the controls, so what better way to do that than to actually do the skill game. Not gonna lie, it took me a little bit longer than I would have wanted it to, but eventually I got the A rank in all of them to pop the putting in the time and work ethic trophies. Now that my skills were fine-tuned into the mechanics of the game, it was time to spread my wings and actually do some real fights. I eased myself into the pain by starting a new career mode so I could win a short notice fight for the I Got This trophy, and since this was the only single player trophy to get, I had no choice but to start something I can only describe as the same feeling you got when you had to have the talk about the birds and the bees with your parents. Of course, I'm talking about online. Ultimate Team was the first step, and of course, in typical EA fashion, I got matched against absolutely anybody. My humble 70 rated fighter was nothing but a morale boost for everybody else online. I got knocked out again, and again, and again. And this is when I got a match. Half the time I couldn't even get anyone to slap me around in the octagon. Naturally, after a while, I eventually got the odd win, which also led to reaching level 16 and popping the brown belt trophy, although it was nothing but a consolation win amongst all the carnage. Not gonna lie, by this point my mind started to wander again. What if I just create a new account? For some reason, getting mauled constantly by your opponent online, not because of the difference in skill level, but because of the difference in rating, somehow makes you want to stop playing this game. Who would have thought? Now I understand a lot of you at this point must be thinking, why don't you just get good? And to you I say, fuck off. Not to toot my own horn here, but I'm totally gonna toot my own horn here. I was actually good at the game. I know this because I played ranked matches where you can choose any fighter from the game's roster. I was so good at the game, I popped the Legend Trophy, which was for winning 4 matches in a row and then beating the division champion. I felt better than Vegeta when he finally became a Super Saiyan for the first time. In my rush of victory dust, I decided to fight with all the featured fighters for the whole crew trophy, as well as to prove to my wife that I was more than just a failure. This was of course as much of a short-lived victory as it is for a male praying mantis to lose his virginity. I had to go back into Ultimate Team, and so history once again repeated itself.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
I got pounded harder than Riley Reid in a Jules Jordan set on a Friday night. And as you can imagine, once again, I thought, is this really worth it? But from behind the Octagon crowd, a legend appeared. A legend called Horma 00. Thanks to this man, I managed to complete all the daily objectives in a day and pop the All in a Day's Work trophy. Faith in humanity restored. And like a cheap burger at a dodgy food van, all I had left was the grind. I just needed to keep fighting and collect coins without worrying about winning or losing. Of course, we all know which one happened the most. Look at that win-loss ratio. Makes me want to go and personally slap the person who created EA's matchup system. Anyway, I eventually reached level 26 and popped the red belt trophy. And then a couple of days later, I popped the Making Bank trophy for receiving a total of 100,000 coins in fight rewards. And with that money, I bought a crap ton of packs to reach 200 items in my collection and popped the stockpile trophy, which brought the platinum trophy with it. In total, this took me about a month to platinum, although it felt more like a year. And now the fourth and final game today we're going to be talking about is Metal Gear Solid 5. My platinum number 107, and the main reason this video's theme is all about whether a backlog is worth it or not. Out of the other 2 games, this one is the one that made me want to give up the most. GuyFarruski once again didn't upload the save file. I swear to God, sometimes I feel like dedicating the rest of my life to creating a time machine just so I can go back and slap my past self. Anyway, I think having to start the game from scratch had a massive influence on why this game became so tedious to platinum. Don't get me wrong, this is a very good game. I did find it really fun going through the story again and approaching the missions in so many different ways, but like GTA 5, the endgame grind fucked me harder than Courtney Cox's hairdresser in Scream 3. I did pop about half the trophies back in 2016. I needed to finish all missions with an S rank, complete all the mission tasks, find the collectibles, and there are a few miscellaneous trophies to get as well. Naturally, I started by starting a new game, created a beautiful face that had absolutely no significance at all, and off I went on my adventure. I just cruised through the missions while doing the side missions as well as anything else that was available to do. I basically started the grind early on to save me time in the future. I got a dog, abducted a few people, including a half-naked woman, abducted animals. I pretty much abducted anything that moved. Scratch that. I even abducted things that didn't move. I may have a problem. Watched my dog grow up, met Freddy Krueger's albino cousin, spied on the half-naked woman while she showered, saved some kids, smoked some weed, got robbed by some kids, probably because I was high, spread ashes all over my face to give homage to Kratos, and at the end of the story, you didn't think I was going to spoil the story for you, did you? We don't do that here. And while doing all this, I reached 150,000 hero points and popped the hero trophy, which I totally forgot to record. Raised all my units to level 50 for the army trophy, completed a mission with a staff member for the apprentice trophy, played an FOB mission for the intruder trophy, constructed all available platforms in Mother Base for the architect trophy, developed a nuke for the deterrence trophy, and then disposed of it for the disarmament trophy, extracted all wild animal species for the conservation trophy, and finally completed all key dispatch missions for the deployment trophy. From this point on, the burn became very, very real. I had to repeat all the missions multiple times and do all the side ops missions, which for the most part are very repetitive. This was the point where I really considered creating a new account. I even spoke to other people about creating a new account, and the only reason I didn't is because I can't use GuyFarruski in a new account. That's it. That's the only reason why. Eventually, I completed all 57 side ops missions to pop the Achieve trophy, and then shortly after, I popped the Locked and Loaded trophy for developing over 300 development items. Now, by this point, I had already spent a stupid amount of hours on Metal Gear Solid 5, and just like the time I watched Blood of Zeus, I just wanted it to end. But I still needed all the S ranks and mission objectives to do. So I repeated the missions as many times as I needed to. This felt worse than the time I went to B&Q and asked for a long wait because my new boss asked me to. Especially when I got to certain objectives that made me listen to every enemy conversation in areas filled with soldiers that possessed the Byakugan, while at the same time following NPCs that walk slower than a 90-year-old driver on a motorway. And by this point, I felt more burnt out than my wife must have been after 6 months of hearing me consistently tell her every single day that I platinum Devil May Cry 5. I ended up having to take regular breaks and limit myself to playing it for a short amount of time to avoid dying of boredom. And throughout all this, I was consistently thinking in my head, is this worth it? Am I wasting my time? But once again, after persisting, I finally did it. First, I popped the Accomplished and the Elite trophies for finishing all missions with an S rank, the Collector trophy for obtaining all the blueprints and key items, and finally, after repeating the last mission one last time, I popped the Executed trophy for completing all mission objectives. And of course, the Platinum trophy popped with it. Thank God. This lengthy platinum took me over 200 hours over the course of 2 months, with idle time, of course. So I'm glad it's finally platinumed so I can move on with my life. 3 of those last 4 platinums were definitely a long-ass journey that pushed me to my limits as a trophy hunter. And of course, as promised, I'll answer the question that started this whole video. Is clearing your backlog really worth it, or is it just a waste of time? I think maybe after watching this whole video, you're probably gonna think that I'm gonna say no, but you'd be wrong. Even after all the tedious grinding and what felt like what would be an endless journey, I still think it was worth it, and I'm gonna tell you why. The feeling you get after platinuming a game you know you gave up on years ago triumphs all the negative feelings on the way. It means you overcame an obstacle that had a hold on you for such a long time. I'm glad I persisted, and I'm glad I didn't create a new account. And for anybody out there who's thinking of giving up or thinking of creating a new account, don't do it. Your trophy list reflects on who you are as a gamer.